So we're actually one of the few companies that actually invents, patents, manufactures the whole part of it. What we also do is work close with propane partners to bring fleets the option of propane. So if we go to a fleet to try to sell them our system, it's nothing to sell if we don't have a really strong propane partner. So what we tend to do is find the fleet's interest, go to our local propane company partner. It could be a national, could be a local, could be a regional. So we're not actually out there selling ICOM systems. We're out there selling propane autogas with our propane partners. We're seeing more and more monofuel, also known as dedicated. So example, UPS does all monofuel with us. They prefer it that way. They get the most benefit of propane. But many fleets, because of their drive cycles or where they fill up, want to have the balance of having gasoline there. So we see monofuel dedicated vehicles growing a little bit each year, especially with the bigger fleets. And then consider if you're a fleet manager, whether a local fleet with 10 or 12 vehicles, a municipality with a couple hundred, or UPS with 100,000. They have to consider what's best for them. So we have to try to understand what they're looking for. Is propane the best option for them? Usually from a class 3 to class 7, propane is the best option, meaning they have the less outlay, the biggest return, and the best reduction on emissions. So almost always propane is the best option. I got into this industry almost 30 years ago for 2 reasons. Mostly for domestic security of fuel. That's what was driving me. I lived through 2 gas crises. I pumped gasoline and diesel through 2 gas crises as a kid, and I didn't like that America didn't have an energy policy. So to me, it's most important that the country has the backup, especially with the emergency and key fleet vehicles, to run on a domestic fuel, which propane and natural gas, there's plenty out there. We have plenty, mountains of it. And when there's big hurricanes and things like that, the only vehicles running are propane vehicles. So in Sandy, Hurricane Sandy in New York, New Jersey, only propane vehicles were working at that time, some natural gas vehicles, not gasoline and diesel, they couldn't fill them. Katrina and all the other different hurricanes, it's propane that's working. So it's a lot of power and very small emissions. So we reduce emissions on average about 50% and bring down particulate matter, so little black particles that cause lung cancer and things like that, to almost zero.
But we have lots of existing fleets out there. UPS, DHL, Amazon is coming around this year as well. Mostly independent contractors on that side. But we see a huge increase in the package and delivery service going alternative fuel. Where we've even come in and we had to make a 3rd shift to do those conversions because they can't have the vehicles down during the day. So in the alternative fuel sector, there's that big push for electric or hybrid. And what the propane companies are doing is we're adapting that, and we're making hybrid electric propane powered vehicles powered by a propane engine that charges the batteries and so on. So we're adapting the hybrid mentality and converting those vehicles. We have a large project where we convert the Toyota Prius, which is an electric hybrid. So it runs solely electric and propane and no gasoline anymore. The most important thing is to understand that it's a seamless transition from gasoline to propane. There is no lack in horsepower, torque, the longevity is there.
So we find with most fleets, they can get the ROI in 1 year to 2 years. And they keep the vehicles for generally about 5 years. Some of the major fleets keep the vehicles 10 to 15 years. So consider the savings. If they're getting a payback in 18 months and then they keep it for 10 years, let's say, they're probably saving 7-8 times the cost of investment.